Hi everybody, this is Icebound, and I'm here with Darkest Dungeon. Darkest Dungeon is in early beta, it might be alpha, but it just came out on Steam. And essentially, it's a roguelike dungeon crawler. You create a party, you try and go through a dungeon. It's randomized every time you do a dungeon, and the purpose of the game is success through like perseverance. Your characters will die a lot, but dying in this sort of game is not necessarily a bad thing. It's going to happen a lot. The purpose of the game is to sort of try and break you, and you need to persevere and come through. So my game plan, this video is to go through the tutorial, explain what is kind of going on and set the stage for later videos, and then kind of run a dungeon every video and see how that plays out. So with that, let's get this started. We begin the campaign. Darkest YouTube. Should be a short video here explaining what's going on.
You will arrive along the old road. It winds with a troubling serpent-like suggestion through the corrupted countryside, leading only, I fear, to ever more tenebrous places. There is a sickness in the ancient pitted cobbles of the old road, and on its writhing path you will face viciousness, violence, and perhaps other damnably transcendent terrors. So steel yourself, and remember there can be no bravery without madness. The old road will take you to hell, but in that gaping abyss, we will find our redemption.
Okay. Excuse me. So, essentially, there was a mansion, and the owner of the mansion was part of a very prominent family, and he kind of got bored with his day-to-day life, so he burrowed looking for treasure underneath, and he came across basically a Cthulhu-styled portal, and it released a bunch of monsters into the area, and the house kind of fell to ruin. So he has called on you to restore the good graces of his family, and you do that by hiring adventurers who are coming for treasure and gold and adventure, and you try and restore this family name, essentially. So that intro video was us getting to the manor. This is just the basic tutorial, but here's the basic system. We're going to have eventually 4 party members. Right now we have 2. We have Reynold, who will become me. And we have Dema, I think, who will become Dreadfire. So we're in this room. We click a destination. This will be our map. So we're going to move to this room.
Brigands have run up these lanes. Keep to the side path.
And essentially, you just move along these paths, and every time there's a square, there's a chance for something to happen. It's randomized, and as we move along, we're going to get these random encounters. Could be combat, could be traps, could be treasure. You kind of see as it goes along. Meanwhile, this torch is burning down. The lower it gets, the more kind of stressed out our characters get. That's what these little bars underneath here, which kind of brings negative penalties onto our characters. So we just begin moving. And now we have combat. Each character has a speed stat, and whoever has it goes in order of speed. there are other little triggers like, was one character surprised by the brigands, or did we surprise them? And it kind of changes the order, but essentially, speed is our go-to stat for who goes first. So we have the option of doing this AoE. If you look at the 3 red dots with the lines between them, that's indicating that it will hit the first 3 targets. There's only one, so what we want to do is just a basic slice that hopefully he resisted it, but hopefully it was going to bleed him. We got a lucky dodge there, didn't get hurt at all. Now what I can do is a heavy-handed attack, just high damage, or I can do an AoE or a stun, or I can buff myself. So I'm just going to try and kill him, and there you go. That little golden thing was that our stress went down. Stress plays a big part in this game, because as it gets higher, our characters kind of have more difficulties. And if it hits the end, our characters kind of have a moment where they either rise to the challenge of the stress, or they kind of crumble under it, and they get either a really positive characteristic or a really negative one, and it impacts the entire group. So you really need to do stress management in this game, because high stress is really detrimental to your team. And the brigand that we killed left some valuables. It's worth a little bit of gold.
There is much to be found in forgotten places.
Alright, we got a treasure chest here. This is a big guy. 35 health compared to 12. So I can buff my highwayman here. Dreadfire can buff himself, and then he'll be useful throughout the fight, a little bit stronger. Or I can just kind of go for damage. I think what I want to do is try and bleed out this guy and hurt him a little bit early. He resisted it. Well, that's unfortunate, but it's okay. I could also stun him and hopefully make him miss his turn, but he does, if you look down at the bottom right, he does have 50% stun resist, which would make that a little bit tougher, kind of a coin toss there. So I think what I want to do is just hit him. Can I hit this guy? No. Hit him. And we're just going to try and beat him down, basically. Wow. Very fortuitous dodge right there. Let's just keep at this guy. Hopefully we can still bleed resist. Wow. This guy's very lucky. Rain of Whips. Oh, okay. Well, he can bleed us, apparently. We can't bleed him at all. I think the correct choice here is we still kind of beat him down. Cross our fingers. I mean, he's... Between the two, I think he's the most intimidating. I mean, he is the largest, and that's kind of a defining characteristic in video games. The largest person is the most deadly.
The bigger the beast, the greater the glory.
Alright, we're just gonna... Could just stun him. If you look down on the bottom right, it says hero damage 2 to 5 or 6 to 13. So this has a chance to just kill him in one hit if we're lucky. And we're not. But that's still some solid damage. I mean, it's on the low end of the possibilities. But we have Dreadfire right afterward to potentially finish him off. And he's bleeding, so when his turn starts, he dies. There you go. So we got some nice valuables here. And the quest is completed, which is the tutorial. We're going to open this. I believe it's just going to be trapped. Right. Not a huge deal, because we're going back to town. I just wanted to demonstrate that there are traps. It's the tutorial. That's kind of not randomized at all. It's going to be trapped. It teaches you that the game has traps. So we're going to go back to town. Got a nice chunk of gold here. We got 5,000 for completing it, 1,600 for all the stuff we collected, and then these heirlooms, I will show you what they're for in a second. But at the end of every mission, your characters get a little experience, and they could get a characteristic. This is like a personality trait. It can be positive, it can be negative. We're going to find out. All right, so he got tuckered out, which means that when his health is below 50%, he gets minus damage. So you kind of want to keep him, for maximum efficiency, he needs to stay healthy and stout. When we camp, which is an aspect of this game that we'll cover later, he heals more.
Welcome home.
This is just a basic explanation of what happened during the week.
This squalid hamlet, these corrupted lands.
Okay, so this is where the other half of the game kind of focuses. We have the one half of the game, which is the dungeon crawling, randomized, what you just saw. Obviously, it's going to be a lot tougher, a lot more randomized. That's the tutorial. The other half is this kind of town building aspect. You have an area like the stagecoach, where we can get more heroes to bring into our party. Every time we go to a dungeon, I'm going to be talking over him. He kind of just adds a little bit of flavor every once in a while. I'm sorry, the narrator. He says some cool stuff, but it's just flavor for the most part. So you go to the stagecoach, and after every dungeon, there's going to be more people available. They fill the spaces that you lose when people die, because people are going to die. It's almost inevitable. So you create this party. We have 4 of 9. You can only have 4 on a mission. So you kind of have this rotation where you bring people in that are new, that are healthy, that are ready to fight, and you let the other ones that just went on a mission rest. Because if you look, Dreadfire and Icebound both already have a stress. These two don't. It's because they were on a mission. Stress is permanent between missions. You have to actually actively remove it at places like the tavern or the abbey. This is just to see where people have died.
Covered in the poisoned earth, awaiting merciful oblivion.
So, basically, the structure of the game revolves around putting people who are too stressed into the tavern, into the abbey, and then bringing new people on the dungeon. But you're not always going to be able to do that. A lot of the time, you're going to have to bring people that are stressed, and you either hope they survive, or you kind of expect them to die because you didn't have any other options. So, with that, let's name these people real fast. This can be... And this can be... So we have Jujubee and we have Oso Grande. Jujubee is my girlfriend and Oso Grande is my best friend. And they can kind of be alongside the party. I'm going to try and organize the team members based off of people that I know. Kind of add some familiarity. You can blame people when they miss. It adds some kind of humorous dynamics. You also get more attached to the characters. So I know this was short. I know it was just kind of a lot of talking and explaining, but I wanted to set the foundation for when we start doing more and more dungeons as we go along. So with that, I am Icebound, and thank you for watching.